Okay, so I'm going to talk about limiting joints, right? So as I go around this shark, we have all these joints that we're going to have to deal with animation. So I'm going to start with this head and neck joint though, first off, right? So we can really start to. This is where I left off on last tutorial. So to limit this joint, what I need to do is select it, right? And I can make sure I have it selected by going to the rotation tool here, right? And what I can do is go here under the attribute editor, right? And what we want to do is make sure that we are in this neck part, right? Where we go under and we see something called limit information. Okay? Now we have limit information that we have where we can do scale, rotation, and translate, which of course are what these three are. And really the only rotation we're going, or animation we're going to be doing is the rotation. So we can deal with limiting the rotation. I mean, we could lock it all down if we wanted to, but we're not going to be using those tools for animation, so it's not really that big of a deal, right? So one thing I want to do is get with the X rotation, right? We don't want it to rotate like this, right? As we look at how this looks on the shark, this is very unnatural, right? We don't want that to happen. Okay, in fact, we want to just keep this at 0. Okay, now what I can do is lock this rotation by hitting these two right here, right? Now I've already zeroed these out, but it should have like the negative 360 and positive 360 on each side. So if I had the negative 360 here, all right, and I had just the positive 360, which we have here, this is going to lock it where absolutely nothing's going to happen. It's going to do one full rotation and then stop. Okay, and that's not what we want. We want it to be 0. So we can type in 0, or we can simply do this, right? And when we do that, we now have a lock on that, which is great. Okay, so that's how that works. Now what we want to look at is how it's going to rotate around. So we can have it like looking this way. All right, where we have something like this. And we really don't want to have too much. That looks about as far as a shark can go. And once again, you're going to have to watch shark videos, right, to see how they swim, to really set up these limitations, right? So I'm going to go with like negative 27, which I'll go ahead and apply here. On this rotation, I'll limit that. And then on this one, I will just do a limitation of positive 27. All right. And then I'm just going to just even this up just because I want to be good. So now, when I have this, it'll only go so far, right? Which is great. Now the last one that I want to deal with is the Z, right? Because if you watch, the shark's head does move kind of up and down a little bit. Not that much, but a little bit, right? So maybe what we want to do is something like, something like 9. Right? Or we could just lock it where it doesn't do anything. But I think having a little Z rotation is good. So we can like do 9. Right? We can limit. Do 9. This way. I'll limit this way with a negative 9. Okay? So now we have this Z rotation of where it doesn't really do much of anything. Right? Because most of the animation, if we even choose to animate in the Z, it's really up to you what you want to set your constraints to, right? So great. So now we need to go and set these constraints for all the other joints as well. So for instance, with the, let's say this joint, the chest joint, right? Maybe we don't want to have any type of, or I guess it's the start of the tail. Here's the chest. The start of the tail. Maybe we don't want any rotation in the chest, right? Which would be good, because then we can go ahead and click all these on. And we can lock them all down, right? Where it's not going to go anywhere, which is good, right? And then maybe on this tail, or maybe what we want is just have a little rotation with the Y rotation. Right? So maybe we just want a little bit, which we can look at up on top. In fact, maybe this is the way to go. Maybe we don't want any more than this. So we'll do like maybe a -4. Oops, -4. There we go. Forgot to hit return. Boy, oh boy. Let's try this again. -4. -4. Why is this not working? Oh, right. Let's just take on the limits here. We want this to be -4, or rather we want this to be +4, and we want this to be -4. Sorry, it's confusing myself. There we go. So now we have just very limited movement here. Okay. And we're going to want to go through here and set the movements all the way on all these joints. Maybe this root joint, we don't want anything on there, right? Which we probably don't. I'm not sure whether root joint should even have anything on there when it should have nothing. There we go. Actually, we do want to keep the root joint ready to go because we will be animating with the root joint, so we don't want to really necessarily set constraints on it so far. Oh, that's the neck joint. Root joint is right here. It's a good thing we named it, huh? With these fins, we could do this type of rotation, right? Where we're not going to want any other rotation, or do we want to rotate? Right, how do we want this? How do we want to rotate these? Anyway, this is how we set up the constraints. We want to do it in a very natural way, right? For you to do this. So you're going to have to do this with all the joints here as we go through here, as we continue to work through this animation.